We're now finished with the quarterfinals of all the World Cups, so we're getting into the really exciting matches soon. We're now in the phase where you have the teams that you would consider contenders, and I don't know what to make of it all. Obviously, I did some of the casting for MK8 this weekend, mainly just Spain and Mexico, I want to say. Maybe I did something else. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I did, though. I was kind of busy Saturday. I did game 3 of that, and that was awesome. Spain and Mexico is kind of an exciting rivalry. It's always going to be a fun result, lots of shit talk, etc. I think Spain did a really good job this year. They were quite cocky, I think, on where they. I think a lot of them said that they're the third best team behind France. I'm not sure about that, but they definitely proved their worth to beat England. So that's cool for them. MKW is kind of interesting. I don't think Japan's been in their top 4 before, but I think Japan kind of has like the potential, right? And you will have to wonder, Japan's probably going to win 8D. Very well could win MK Tour. Like, could they sweep? That's the question. I think it's possible. US will always be the best in MKW, maybe. The way I see it personally is, I don't think... Yeah, I'm just going to say it right now. I don't think that the US should be split in Mario Kart Wii. I know they want to artificially make it a little bit closer or something like that. They want to make it closer and feel more meaningful, etc. But that's not the purpose of a World Cup. The purpose of the World Cup is to figure out what team's the best. And if I'm being honest, and I know I have some people on MKW US North that I've talked to a decent amount. This is no shade either. I think if you combined the two US teams, that they would not be better than 8D Japan. And that's my personal opinion. Obviously, MKW USA is a very big community. I'm jealous, personally, because I don't get to just lounge whenever I want in the evenings. That's why we're having so much downtime. MK8 Japan, I think, is much larger than MKW USA. And they have no shortage of top players either. Personally, I think that MKW USA is probably similar in level to MK8D France. It's possible they're better. Possible they're worse. But that's my personal thought on the matter. But unfortunately, we'll never know, because they don't play against each other in the same game. Anyways, important thing to also note is that Team USA has made the Final Four for all 3 games, and I think that's pretty cool. And in MKW, US North is the favorite to win. And go team, let's go. I talked to Casper now, obviously. Met Sean up at OSU. That's hype. Edison and Frozen been talking to me a little bit recently. I'm cheering for them. It's kind of boring because, they're expected to win, but... And I won't be devastated if a new team wins, because, that's exciting when a new team wins. But I'll pull for them. Then in MKT, I genuinely don't know who the best is. The fun thing for MK Tour, well, maybe not the fun thing, but the thing that I was like, whoa, really? Is that their Final Four is the exact same as MK8. And it was actually kind of improbable that it happened this way, because it looks like there was a lot of upset potential, especially with teams like Peru. Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of different teams in their top 8 than us. It's just the 4 that advanced are the only 4 that were there from MK8D, except maybe Spain. And the same 4 advanced in all of them. And the other thing that T pointed out on Twitter the other day is that the next tour in MKT is going to be the Los Angeles tour. So pretty much I'm expecting Super Effects to drop 90 in every match, as he is a SoCal kid. So he's got the home field advantage. Who would have thought? And now I guess this brings us to MK8D. So, as you all know, we gotta have quality content, right? Well, I mean, I'm checking how many races there are. We gotta have quality content on the stream, so I'm gonna present you guys a gift that you guys are probably not expecting. Alright, you all ready for this? Hold up. Hold up. You all ready for this? You're not ready for this. Alright, what you see is a gigantic sheet right here. This is absolutely incredibly massive at this point, because the amount of teams in the community is too much. It's huge. This is MK8 World Cup history right here. This includes 8U, this includes 8D, this is everything. Look at this. This is a head-to-head chart. Now, there's a lot to take in right here, and I think one of the first thoughts is, Rookie, I can't see anything. And that would be pretty reasonable because there's like 40 teams on here that have all participated at one point. One thing that you're also going to notice is that there's a lot of 1-0s, 0-2, etc. Very low counts because a lot of these teams haven't actually played against each other very frequently. So, here's the thing. The reason why a lot of these teams don't play each other is because they play the top teams in the group phase, and then they get eliminated. It's actually really sad because MK World Cup, despite all the hype and stuff, it is a tournament with very little parity. I think 8 teams total have a winning record of the 40 that have actually played like 10 or more games. There's a few exceptions. Central America is one because they went 5-0 in groups this year, and this is their first year. Now, what's interesting about this also is the teams that even the teams that have like winning records but they haven't played a lot of games, it's because they played this year and this is the first year MK8 had a play-in stage. So they had easier matchups than in past years. So again, I kind of just want to focus on 8 teams only for sake of discussion. So here we are. This is a lot more legible. Now, these are kind of your blue bloods when it comes to MK World Cup at this point. The teams that are considered MKWC royalty, if you will. These are the teams that do not lose really to any. Like, if you know the 5 gods of Melee, this is kind of like that, really. This is more evidenced by the fact if you look at Canada's total against the top 8, they're actually 6-20. But if you look at their overall total, you realize that against every other team, they're 15-0. And this is a trend also. You see that with England, you see that with France. Germany lost, I think, 1 game to a really loaded LTA team that had like a bunch of people in USA, I think. Probably shouldn't have been allowed to play. Japan's only lost to 2 teams. Mexico and Spain have both dropped a couple, or 1 and 2. And really, this is because they've come to prominence more recently. They weren't as strong in 8U. And of course, USA 17-0 against those teams and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot to take in here. A lot of interesting facts, if you will. Now, what makes me really excited about this next matchup over the weekend, and let me sell you all, is the USA and France matchup. Now, it's not really a secret that France is a pretty big favorite this year. And it makes sense because USA last World Cup, which is 2 years ago, they finished 7th place. But I do think they're on the upswing again. And even though France is definitely the favorites, I think it'd be closer than a lot of people think. Now, a lot of these records and stuff, it's really interesting. Even in the top 8 only, a lot of these records are like still 4-0, 5-1, etc. It's still like if you look at the totals, only 3 of the 8 teams have a winning record. Only 3 of them do: USA, France, and Japan. And Japan's dominant at that. Japan's probably why it's so lopsided because teams play Japan. Like, look at poor Germany; they are 0-8 against Japan right now. That's not really shameful. That means that they just end up having to play them a lot because they make it deep enough into the bracket to meet them. And they also, I think, have rolled pretty unlucky groups in terms of rolling them. So yeah, I think Japan has the most amount of matches because they tend to keep winning. Or maybe France because they go to losers bracket but still make it to grands or something like that. But I think it's fascinating looking at this chart. But the one series that really sticks out to me, the one that really sticks out is USA and France. And this is because this is like on that big chart we just saw ago, or like a minute ago. They are really the only teams that have played nearly 10 games and are pretty even in record. And again, I can try to kind of chalk it up to MK World Cup being really imbalanced, right? That's just the cold reality that a lot of teams are just better than the others. But when you get to semifinals week, you start getting these elite teams that are really you get these elite teams that are really closer in skill level, and that's when you start getting high level matches that are really fun. And USA and France, I think in particular, is great because they're so close historically. France has the edge in bracket, but USA has the head-to-head factor going for them. And it starts to get a little personal, and I think that's really fun, and that's kind of what you kind of need in some of these rivalries. And to answer your question, Trom, not too much because I've been updating it on a yearly basis, going back a while. So really, it's just a little bit every year. This is up to date now. I just added 2021 stuff in for the first time, really. Now, the USA and France history is really interesting. I kind of want to go back and talk about it. It's weird because there was a time where really just every other, not other year, every year the teams ended up finding a way to play each other. A lot of times, multiple times. And that didn't happen in 2018. USA fell short to the UK before the rematch, didn't play in winners. And in 2019, USA had an off year, got seventh. A lot of the roster that was there the previous few years opted out or just weren't active. And again, the cool thing is a lot of those players, I'm thinking of like NATO, Strike, and Cinda, even Soldier, who I think is like surprisingly on the roster right now. A lot of them are back now. And makes me hopeful that maybe we can actually get a good set because I think, like, let's just keep it real. I'd say that France is more active. So they're probably your favorites, right? I mean, you got Requiem and WF kind of dominating MKU, made the finals and stuff. They're going to be tough to beat. But I think it is within the realm of possibility. Now, again, just to contextualize some of the stories and stuff, I kind of want to talk about some of these matchups in the past. Because in 2014, that's where it began. Now, there's always a little bit of there's a little France-US rivalry in MK7 too, but it wasn't nearly as developed. But coming from that, there's a lot of players from the 7 scene back in that first 8U World Cup. And I remember the first 8U World Cup was really bad because the groups were randomized. France in 2014 was in the same group as USA, and Canada was in that group also. That's actually where the Canada's win against the USA comes from. And in the group stage, USA was almost knocked out because they lost to Canada, and they had a must-win match. Like, imagine USA just not making the top 8 bracket. That's kind of incredible to think about. Even in their worst year, they made it. But in 2014, they were put in a position where they had to actually beat France to guarantee a bracket spot, and all France had to do was win. And it was 12v12 that year, and in the first match, France's first team absolutely destroyed USA. I think it was a plus 98 margin. And everybody in the chat was like, yo, this is over. This is over. There's no way the USA is going to actually win in the second set. And I remember I was actually in the second set because I used to actually be good enough to play for the USA. And in the second half, now there's a ton of shit talk. There's like a stream, 1,000 people on it, more than what we have now, really. It was really a big deal when it was still new. And I don't think there was no MKW Cup that year. It was just MK8. It was focused solely on that. What happens is, in the second match, we come in, feel like we got nothing to lose. We start rolling. Me and Demon, I remember, were in it. I think NATO was too. A few players from the community today still, I think, were in that lineup. And we brought it back and we won by 120 something in that second match, to the dismay of every French fan imaginable. It was a really cool feeling because there was a ton of shit talk going on. And I think that's where the rivalry kind of started. Nobody was expecting that performance. Everybody thought the USA kind of sucked that year. And then for them to really make that comeback, that was like one of the best wars of my entire MK career. Really fun. And then in bracket, we met up against France again. As France got their vengeance, they completely shattered us, and they moved on in the bracket. We were eliminated. That's just how it was. I think they went on to lose to Japan in the losers finals, which is the last time that Japan was ever in losers, because UK caught them at a rough time on the winner's side. So anyways, move on to 2015. 2015 was the last time we ran a single elimination World Cup. And like this year, the USA and France met in the semifinals. Now, I was a bench warmer this year, and this match was really one of the cool ones because it looked like it looked like the USA is going to win the first game. France gets a pick on MKS. They just dominate them. They dominate us on the last race. Take game 1. And in game 2, France starts pretty hot. And for the most part, they have the control of the war. And again, last race, game 2, Neo Bowser City. We all know about it. If you watched the trailer, you saw Toto get billed. I don't want to talk about it too much because gotta let Toto live his life sometimes. But that was, I guess, another turning point. It's what's made this so back and forth because, France goes up 2-1 in the series. And then suddenly, USA pulls out this plus 24 in the last race to win by 4. And then goes on to dominate game 3. Goes up 3-2 in the series. Wow. Incredible. On on the last year of 8U, they meet in semis again, but it's a double elim this time. It's a pretty close war. And then at the very end, France just pulls away, gets back at us 3-3. And then 2017 rolls around and 8D comes out. And on 8D, France is once again a favorite. France is kind of rolling to start the match. And this is this may be my favorite 8D match of all time. We're down like 50. I actually played this one. We're down like 50 at the midway point. Get some massive races back. It accumulates with a top 6 on TikTok clock on race 11. Puts us in the lead for pretty much the first time. And then we hold on RWS. Get the win, send France to losers. Then almost beat Japan also. Remember, there's a time where US could actually go toe-to-toe with Japan, believe it or not. And we lose last race. Play them in the losers again. And we beat them again. Sweep them. And the series goes to 5-4 for the US. I'm excited now because for the first time in many years, like it seemed like a yearly thing that we used to take for granted that was a rivalry we were going to get. And maybe I'm getting this twisted, but I don't think we played in 2018. Pretty sure we didn't. Maybe we did play in 2018 and just lost. I don't remember for certain. Regardless, I think USA does have the winning record on 8D. It's either 2-2 or 1. But I'm excited for this because there's always a little bit of beef in this, and that's fun. And I think France is going to win this, but I wouldn't count the guys out because I think that they're building something really good on USA right now. And I noticed there's been a lot of doubters, quite frankly. You know what? I actually took a screenshot of the doubters before it happened because I was like, you know what? We're calling this too early. I remember this. We had this going on July 4th. You all thought that USA was going to lose on Independence Day. Look at this chat, man. It's over, I think. That's GG's. Macy, I see you in this screenshot right now, actually. The USA 3rd seed. Unfortunately, Donnie Pro, looks like the USA did outplace you guys. I thought you all were really cocky, right? Yeah. Macy caught in 4K right here. What you guys thinking? It's over. That's GG's. Guess what happens? That is not all she wrote. Hey, I'm no longer on the team right now. We gotta support the boys.